All
All set.
right. Welcome, everyone. My name is Ann Bossler. I'm the chair of the city's Commission for Arts and Culture. Thank you so much for joining us today for our monthly meeting of the commission. I'd like to ask my colleagues on the commission to please keep your video on throughout the meeting today to remain as accessible as possible to our audience. And I ask the same of the participating city staff. Now we're going to do a quick roll call to confirm commissioner attendance. When I call your name, if you would, please unmute yourself and say present. Commissioner Rebecca Smith.
Present.
Okay, Commissioner Blevins.
He's I'm promoting him in right now, Commissioner Bosler. Chair
Okay.
Bosler.
I'll circle back to him at the end. Commissioner Robinson. Commissioner DeZenzo.
Present.
Commissioner Friedman. Commissioner Hughes.
Present. And Chair, I just heard from Jonathan, his Zoom is not working at the moment, so he's rebooting.
Okay, thank you for that. Commissioner Nawana. Commissioner Abe Hughes. Commissioner Leanne Kim.
Present.
Hello, Commissioner Martin.
Present.
Thank you. Commissioner Moctezuma. Commissioner Opstead.
Present.
Hello, Commissioner Philpott.
Present.
Hello there, Commissioner Pulido. Commissioner Blevins.
Hello, and I'm present.
All right, terrific. All right, I think we got everybody there. Thank you so much. Your attendance has been noted. Also joining us today includes city staff, Executive Director Jonathan Gluss, once he's rebooted, and Chief of Civic Arts Strategies, Christine Jones, as well as Project Manager Bel Reza, Senior Public Art Manager Chuck Miller, Civic Art Project Manager Laura Bullock, and our Arts and Culture Project Manager Kip Eischen. I would now like to call on Commissioner DeZenzo, if you would, to read the Commission for Arts and Culture Statement of Purpose and Vision.
Excellent. Thank you. Okay, so our vision is expanding our world by celebrating creativity in San Diego. And the purpose of our commission is, let's see, I'll start at the beginning. So purpose, the City of San Diego Commission for Arts and Culture serves in an advisory capacity to the mayor and city council on promoting, encouraging, and increasing support for the region's artistic and cultural assets, integrating arts and culture into community life, and showcasing San Diego as an international tourist destination.
Wonderful, thank you so much. And before we get into today's agenda, I'm going to call on Bel Reza to please run down some of the guidelines for today's meeting.
Thank you, Chair Bosler. Hello, commissioners. Just a quick refresher. I know everyone's pretty familiar with it at this point. We are running this as a Zoom webinar. The meeting for you will function exactly like any other typical Zoom meeting. Just please remember to keep your camera on, to keep yourself muted and unmute yourself when you'd like to speak, to use the chat box only for signaling when you'd like to speak, and not for any other correspondence with commissioners. And back to you, Chair Bosler.
Okay, thanks so much. We will now move on to non-agenda public comment. The public was invited to submit public comment on the agenda and non-agenda items via a web form accessible through the agenda and the commission's website. Members of the public may also join this meeting as webinar attendees. If members of the public have submitted comments in writing via the web form, staff will read aloud public comments submitted per city public comment protocol. I will now call on Bel to please read aloud any non-agenda public comment or to call on any attendees who would like to provide such comment.
Great, thank you, Chair Bosler. To those members of the public in attendance, please click the button to raise your hand to indicate that you'd like to speak. I will enable you to speak, send you a prompt to unmute yourself in order. When I call your name, please state your name for the record, and you will have 3 minutes to provide comment, after which you will be placed on mute again. If you're joining via phone, please press *9 to raise your hand. I will call you by the last 4 digits of your phone number. When I call you, press *6 to unmute yourself. Please raise your hand now if you would like to provide non-agenda public comment. Okay. Christine, go ahead.
Good afternoon. This is Christine Martinez. I'm calling from Arts and Culture San Diego. I represent the 160 plus arts and culture groups, CSP and CCSD groups throughout San Diego and all our 9 districts. I just wanted to report some of the efforts that we're making. We have secured in the budget memos of our city council members, 8 of 9 of them have used specific wording that we have provided asking for more funding for our arts and culture groups. We've specifically asked for 7% of TOT by fiscal year 24. This is something I mentioned at the last meeting, that we are now sort of putting a timeline in place for Penny for the Arts, which was promised so many years ago, and we are seeing some positive movement. Again, getting back to pre-pandemic funding for fiscal year 23 was a big milestone for us, and now moving forward, looking towards stable and secure funding for our arts and culture groups. That's my report, and thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. And Lynn? Lynn, go ahead.
It's Christine again.
Sorry, Lynn, one moment. It's not allowing me to unmute you. Okay, go ahead.
Thank you. This is Lynn Vasquez from the New Children's Museum, senior grant writer over here in charge of government grants. I want to highlight 3 exciting things happening in our world. One of them in our world that are part of our community access efforts to make sure that at least 30% of visitors can enjoy what we have to offer through free and nearly free opportunities. And one of them is Los Trompos, a new installation in the park. Thank you to Commissioner Opstead and others for supporting us at that opening. Really appreciated that. The opening was just a couple weeks ago, and we now have an outside artwork. Los Trompos means spinning tops. It's a game known in Latin America, as well as, dating back to, I don't know, Greek times, ancient Greek times, the fun of a spinning top game. But these are top shaped things that people can get into and get spun around. We've got about 5 of them, very colorful in the park, providing that activation. It's free to the community during the hours that we're open. We do shut them up, at least we have been covering them at night, since we're kind of a local area for homeless and they make really cool tents. So that's one thing that's going on we're excited about. We also just hosted Educators Night Out, which is our free invitation to teachers to come and hang out and see what we have to offer and have a bite to eat. And we have entertainment, and we have people from other organizations who, it's a resource fair essentially for teachers to kind of get things moving along. And that means our school visits program, including free, creative, and self-guided tours for all Title I schools, is going full speed ahead. And then the third item is the upcoming Veterans Day. We offer free Blue Star access during the summer for all military. And then we're opening that up just for Veterans Day coming up in another week or 2. Also coming up in another week or so is our gala. And I think Belle passed on to each of you the invitation, which is open to all staff and all commissioners plus guests. We would love to have you here to see what it's all about. It'll be a magical night. The theme this year is Circus Spectacular. Lots of top hats planned. I'm going to be reading your fortune and letting you know that, yes, you can come free to the New Children's Museum Gala. So if you haven't yet RSVP'd and would like to come, I need to know by Monday morning to make sure you're on the final email that'll go out with logistics. So if you could send me an email or send that via Bell, letting me know your name and your +1 and whatever email you'd like us to use, that offer is still open. I'm really excited that several of you have responded, and I will be checking people in at the front desk, so look for the gray-haired fortune teller and make sure you say hi, since I don't think I've met some of you in person in ages, so that would be great. And that's all I have to say today. Thank you so much, each of you, for your hard work.
Thank you, Lynn. Chair Bosler, I just did want to note for the record that Commissioner Polito has joined the meeting.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. I see Commissioner Robinson has asked to speak.
Hi, I'm sorry. I don't know if you got me for attendance, but yes, I am definitely here. And I also definitely want to apologize for getting so excited last meeting and putting my notes in the chat. I was just so excited and I wanted to get things to Jonathan. So I apologize for that. And I also want to take this time just to simply thank Christina Martinez just for her efforts in fighting for funds for art. I think that's very important. And I also want to thank Lynn Vasquez for their efforts at the Children's Museum. I visited the museum. I played on the Los Trompos. I had an amazing time with my cousins, my little cousins, and actually visiting the park. And I also want to say, which I thought was amazing, that, and I know a lot of museums are doing it, and I heard of it probably a few years ago, but just seeing it, that anyone that has, what is that, a SNAP card or a Medi-Cal card or anything like that gets to visit the Children's Museum at such a low rate. I think it's like $4 or something like that. So I'm really excited as well about the Circus Gala. And I'm just really excited about the efforts that the Children's Museum are doing, and hearing about the teachers' free access for Title I schools. I just think that's so important. Arts are such an undervalued entity that is so important to our children's growth. So thank you. I just wanted to say thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for that. I hope that everyone has had an opportunity to review the minutes from our August commission meeting. Would anyone like to make a motion to please approve those minutes? If you would, please type speak into the chat window and verbally state your name and make your motion. Commissioner Smith?
So moved, Chair Bosler.
Wonderful. Thank you for that. We now have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Commissioner Blevins. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Okay, seeing none. We will now take a vote. I will call your name, and if you would, please respond out loud with yay, nay, or abstain. Remember that you do not have to have been present at the meeting to vote or to discuss. Commissioner Rebecca Smith.
Yay.
Thank you, Commissioner Blevins.
Yay.
Commissioner Robinson.
Yay.
Commissioner DeZenzo.
Yay.
Commissioner Hughes, Tyler Hughes.
Yay.
Commissioner Nuana. She's not with us today. Commissioner Abe Hughes. Commissioner Leanne Kim.
Yay.
Commissioner Martin.
Yay.
Commissioner Moctezuma. Commissioner Opstad.
Yay.
Commissioner Philpott.
Yay.
Commissioner Polito.
Yay.
Okay, and my vote is a yay as well. Before we move on, I'd like to discuss just a couple of things. First, the survey results of the standing commission dates. It looks like the overwhelming majority prefer to keep the meetings virtual at this time and to stick with the current date and time. We will at some point be mandated to move to hybrid or to in-person, but as per the state Brown Act guidelines and the city clerk, we will continue to update you as we learn more. I also wanted to remind everyone that the commission meeting next month is scheduled for November 18th, and that is because November 25th will be the Thanksgiving holiday. Do we have any discussion on any of that?
Yes, am I supposed to raise my hand in the chat? Is that?
You're supposed to type
Yes, speak.
into the chat
Okay.
box. Yeah.
Now that I'm
Okay.
speaking.
Please go ahead, Commissioner Philpott.
Yeah, I think we also need to, I'd be interested in, I don't know how the commission does this, but setting the calendar for the upcoming year, because I also believe that December falls on the 23rd, which is okay, but that's the weekend before, that's the Friday before the Christmas holiday weekend. So I don't know if that's a problem for people, but I would like it for my calendar purposes to try to nail down the calendar as far in advance as possible. Thank
Okay,
you.
that's a good point. Belle,
Sure,
is that
Barbara,
something that you can speak to in terms of?
Yeah,
how
we'll
things-
get that updated today. It'll be the same thing. We'll do it a week in advance of the original date. The Thanksgiving one has already been moved, so the November meeting is on your calendars correctly. By the end of the day, we'll have December updated as well.
Okay,
And
great,
then,
thank you.
Belle, how far in advance are all of the invitations sent to commissioners, for example, into 2023? How far out do we do that?
Oh, I will send it out for the entire year. And for this one, I'll make sure that the November and December dates are already set correctly, starting in January. We'll have those on.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Commissioner Smith, I see you wanted to speak.
2 questions just to confirm that. So we have a policy and funding meeting that was supposed to happen then on, I believe, November 8th, which has now been canceled. So wanted to ask about the executive committee meeting then, given that the meeting is now on November 18th. When will executive committee meeting happen? And then also, if I can note right now for new commissioners, my understanding is they are still absolutely welcome to join us, especially on Zoom, for any of these committee meetings, which also might bring just new learning as you're coming onto the commission. Really would welcome your presence in our committee meetings as well.
Okay,
So what I'm asking is if we can confirm when executive committee is for November, and then just an invitation to especially our new commissioners to join us at committee meetings.
Belle, do we know about the executive committee meeting?
Yeah, I believe we're keeping executive committee at at its regular date and time, and we're just moving up commission.
Okay, so then that means executive will be, let's see.
On
Rebecca,
Veterans
when is this?
Veterans Day on November 11th, that Friday.
Okay, is that going to work for everybody?
That won't work for everyone, so I will actually take a look and send an email out today.
Thank you,
have to
Belle.
move
That's
that
why I
one.
thought I would ask.
Okay, and then if I can just ask for anybody who's not speaking to go ahead and place your computer on mute, that would be great. We've
I
got
have
the
another
place
question. I
computer
don't know
talking.
what that is, but I have another question when you get a chance.
Okay, Commissioner DeZenzo?
Yeah, Rebecca, you had mentioned that the policy and funding in November was moved to November 8th. Is that, I don't think I got that.
No, I got a note that it was canceled actually. So I guess I'm just wanting to confirm. So we're canceling policy and funding. My understanding was due to the Veterans Day holiday, but executive committee is still standing for that day. So I guess I'm just looking to staff to just confirm that. Thank you, Tracy. I was just wondering too.
Okay. Kip, do you know?
No, I'll jump in.
Okay.
The Policy and Funding Committee is canceled for this month, in part due to Veterans Day and also in part due to lack of agenda items, but we do look forward to meeting in December. And I actually would like to just recommend, if it's easier, instead of doing a doodle poll, and would you like to move executive committee back by a day to that Thursday, which I believe is the 10th, instead of Veterans Day, the 11th, at the same time?
That would work for me on November 10th at 10 a.m. Other executive committee folks, would that work for you, Commissioner Smith?
Yes, that works.
Okay. Commissioner Opstead,
That works.
Commissioner Tyler Hughes.
I can make that work.
Okay, great. And then Commissioner Friedman is not with us today, but that looks like we'll have quorum. So that would be terrific. Thank you for that suggestion, Jonathan.
Of course.
And then Commissioner Philpott, did you?
Yes, thank you. I had another question. Tyler, I'm interested in the Advocacy and Outreach Committee because I think there are some things that we could think of to put on the agenda. So I don't know what the schedule is looking like for those other committees. I know Fritz is working on the commissioner engagement, but I haven't heard anything. Maybe you have done something on advocacy and outreach and I just haven't heard.
We're getting ready to have an update on all of the various committees. And maybe y'all, when we update on the committees, if you could say the date and time of your next meeting in case folks want to attend, that would be helpful. Commissioner Philpott, would that be okay for Commissioner Hughes to update in just a couple minutes?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Okay, you bet. Commissioner DeZenzo, did you have something else? Commissioner Robinson?
Yes, I definitely appreciate Commissioner Smith's invitation to visit other committees. So it would be nice if, just we get the same send out as we do for our own meetings, in the sense of just being able to say yes or maybe to the Zoom and getting it on our calendar if we're able to attend. Because honestly, I'm not familiar with the other committees. I was asked if I wanted to be on particular committees, which I am very thankful to be on and appreciative. But I am out in this world exploring grants and policy and dealing with different government entities. And it would be great if I could get a better understanding. And I think attending some of these committees would possibly be exactly what I need. So it would be great if I get the same invitations as I would from my own committees. Thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about that for just a second. Belle or Jonathan, how would that work? Because we want to make sure that we're not going to confuse staff in terms of who's quorum and who's not. Does it make sense to send invites to the whole commission for all the meetings, or how do we want to do that? What makes sense?
I don't think it makes sense to send to all the commissioners. I think the website, if you go onto the website, it says all the meeting dates and the agendas and the meeting links are posted, because you would be joining as audience. You wouldn't be a panelist if you're just observing. So I think that would be the best way to do that. It breaks it down, like, you'll know exactly when the meetings are and all the information you'll need will be there.
Thank you. That's perfect. Appreciate that.
Sure.
Okay, terrific. Thanks so much, everyone. We are now going to move on to committee reports, and the first is going to be policy and funding. Commissioner Rebecca Smith.
Thank you, Chair Bosler. Really quick, our action items from our last meeting were really to approve minutes from previous meetings, but during that time, we were all super excited to just be in waiting mode for our new applications for the next funding cycle. So I'm looking forward to an update from staff from whenever we get that. Policy and funding committee members, it's going to be really cool just to see what it looks like right now as the world is open again, who has applied for our funding, and how do we just continue to make this process something that is accessible and equitable for the communities that we serve. So again, do want to invite other commissioners, especially new commissioners, to our process. And we will not be meeting, I believe, then in November, but look forward to seeing everybody then in December. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. Next, we're going to move on to public art. Commissioner Opstead, if you could please share your committee report.
Thank you, Chair Bosler. We have a couple action items. We have 2 action items from September's Public Art Committee meeting and 1 from October's Public Art Committee meeting as well. So September action item number 1 is the artist selection panelists for Hidden Trails Park Public Art Project. The Public Art Committee recommends the following panelists for the Hidden Trails Park Public Art Project: Dr. Anjun Park for the seat of the Public Art Committee member with Wayne Holton as an alternate. And finally, Perry Vasquez for the seat of the visual art / design professional with recommended alternates in no particular order to serve as 2 of the 5 ad hoc artist selection panelists. I'd like to call on Chuck to give an overview of the project and recommendation.
Thank you, Commissioner Opstead, and good afternoon, commissioners. Next slide, please. So this slide is to quickly illustrate how the public art development process works for the new commissioners who may be less familiar with the process. So this gives you a sense of the steps that are involved. And right now we are, what we're doing today is ensconced in this first step of the city procures an artist. After that, the artist gathers research and engages the public, creates a preliminary idea, creates an artwork proposal. We get public input again, creates a final design. City approves the final design, and then we move into the artwork fabrication and installation. And in the case of these projects, we will see the full commission again once we are at the final design phase. But for today, per the public art master plan, for 2% for public art commissions with eligible capital improvement projects, which pertains to all 3 action items today. The public art committee's role is to recommend 2 of the 5 artist selection panelists for a given project, those being a public art committee member volunteer with an alternate and an art and design professional with alternates. These recommendations and alternates are detailed in the committee reports that were included with the meeting packet. The other 3 panelists for a given project are comprised of a community member, a volunteer from the asset owning agency, and in these cases, Parks and Rec, and the project's design consultant. So the action items put forward today were reviewed and unanimously recommended by the Public Art Committee at their September and October meetings. So the role of the commission today is to ratify the committee's recommendations. Next slide, please. So we'll start with the Hidden Trails Neighborhood Park project, which comprises a new neighborhood park located in the Hidden Trails subdivision in the Ocean View Hills neighborhood in South San Diego. The neighborhood is adjacent to Otay Mesa to the south and San Isidro to the southeast, and the project comprises a brand new 3.7 acre developed park with amenities that will include a public art commission. Next slide, please. So I'll go over a little bit of the details regarding that RFQ process, and this will pertain to all of the action items today. So I'm just going to show this information once for these action items. So the artist contract is for the design, fabrication, transportation, and oversight during installation of permanent artwork that responds to the unique context of the new parks. The Park RFQ will be open to artists authorized to work in the US, and artists apply by submitting qualifications. There is as I mentioned earlier, there's a 5-member ad hoc selection panel that will evaluate applications and recommend 1 artist for contract award. And construction for this park is currently expected to be completed by the end of 2025. Next slide, please. So the item now is to recommend the following panelists for the Hidden Trails Park Public Art Project. Anjung Park with Wayne Holton as an alternate for the seat of the Public Art Committee member, and Perry Vasquez for the seat of the Visual Art and Design Professional, with recommended alternates in no particular order to serve as 2 of the 5 ad hoc artist selection panelists. So Perry Vasquez is an artist based in San Diego and is a professor of art at Southwestern College. His work comprises a large variety of media and primarily addresses the San Diego-Tijuana border region. And he's been working here for over 30 years. Back to you, Chair Bossler.
Okay, let's see here. So would anyone like to make a motion to please approve the artist selection panelists for Hidden Trails Park Public Art Project? If you would, please type speak in the chat window and verbally state your name and make your motion. Commissioner Smith?
So moved. And also thank you to Commissioner Obstadt and your committee just for all your great work on this. I know a lot of your committee members don't sit on the commission, so I want to make sure that they know that we are grateful for their service.
Absolutely. So we have a motion. Do we have a second? If someone would please type speak, and then you can make a second. Commissioner Kim?
Yes, I'd like to second the motion.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion at this point? Commissioner Opstead?
As we talk about other commissioners being involved in committees or other subcommittees, I just wanted to say what an absolutely amazing conversation it was with our two artists to ask really in-depth conversations in the pre-planning phase of this, things about the size of the trees and things like that. And I don't, get ahead of myself, but they were so open and receptive, and it was just such a cool thing to experience it from the beginning. And then also as we get to see it through, being built and then finally being installed. But one of the questions was about lighting, and they're like, of course. And so it was just a really, really colorful conversation that if anybody wants to join, I'm thoroughly enjoying it. I hope everyone else is enjoying it as much as I am.
Okay, I love it. Terrific. And just for the record, Commissioner Yudoko Nwana has joined us. So now we will take a vote. I will call your name, and if you would please respond with yay, nay, or abstain. Actually, did Commissioner Polito have a comment to make before we take the vote?
I did, thank you. Could I get some clarity on where it says the person has to be authorized to work in the United States? And my reason in asking, because my assumption is that this is in a borderland region, and recognizing Tijuana World Design Capital 2024, could we entertain the possibility of getting applicants from the border, from Mexico? Is that possible, or is that breaking some rule or regulation? Just to keep that relationship and the reality of the border at the forefront of our minds. So I just want to put that out there.
It's a great question. Executive Director Glass?
Yeah, thank you for that question, Dr. Polito. Really important question that we think about every day. I'm going to turn it over to Chuck and Christine to answer specifically to this, but I will say, in general, it depends on funding sources, whether or not we can invite international artists or not, and whether or not we can invite undocumented individuals. But specific to this project, I'll turn it over to Chuck and Christine.
Yeah, thank you for that question, Commissioner Polito. We do occasionally receive international applicants for these calls. And my understanding is that they basically just need their country's equivalent of a W-9 in order to be authorized. And I think if Christine has any more detail to add to that, appreciated.
No, it's really as simple as that. So it's really just them being able to provide an equivalent to a W-9 in order to be able to, receive money from the city, essentially, in a contract.
Yeah, so I would just say that in my role as a commissioner, then you could be sure I would want to advocate for something like that and maybe actually get some applicants, but I also don't want to jump ahead of myself.
Understood. Great conversation. Okay, we're now going to take the vote. Commissioner Rebecca Smith,
Yay.
Commissioner Blevins,
Yay.
Commissioner Robinson,
Yay.
Commissioner DeZenzo,
Yay.
Commissioner Friedman is not with us, Commissioner Tyler Hughes,
Yay.
Commissioner Nuana,
Did you hear me? I said yay.
okay, thank you so much for that. Commissioner Abe Hughes is not here, Commissioner Kim,
Yay.
thank you, Commissioner Martin,
Yay.
Commissioner Moctezuma, Commissioner Opsted,
Yay.
Commissioner Philpott,
Yay.
Commissioner Polito,
Yay.
and I am also a yay. Thank you so much for that. We're now going to move on to the next action item. Commissioner Opsted, I'll
Thank
turn
you
it
for
back
that,
to
Chair Bossler, and thank you everyone for your active involvement in that conversation and excellent questions. Our second September action item number 2 is the artist selection panelist for Willie Henderson Sports Complex Public Art Project. The Public Art Committee recommends the following panelists for the Willie Henderson Sports Complex Public Art Project. Commissioner Imani Robinson for the seat of the Public Art Committee member with Dr. Denise Rogers as an alternate. And finally, Katie Ruiz for the seat of the Visual Art Design Professional with recommended alternates in no particular order to serve as 2 of the 5 ad hoc artist selection panelists. So once again, I'm going to ask Chuck to go ahead and please provide a project overview.
Thank you, Commissioner Opstad. And so, yeah, so all of our action items will be like this today. So next slide, please. So the Willie Henderson Sports Complex is a recreation complex and adjacent park located along 45th Street in the Mountain View neighborhood in Southeast San Diego. This is a previously existing park, and the project will comprise major upgrades and improvements, including public art. And so all of the details pertaining to the artist selection process that I went over in the previous item are similar in this case. So next slide, please. So once again, the Public Art Committee recommendation is for the following panelists for the Willie Henderson Sports Complex Public Art Project. Imani Robinson with Dr. Denise Richards as an alternate for the seat of the Public Art Committee member, and Katie Ruiz for the seat of the Visual Art and Design Professional to serve as 2 of the 5 ad hoc artist selection panelists. So Katie Ruiz is an artist based in San Diego, as well as an art director and curator, and is currently the art director of the Women's Museum of California in San Diego. Back to you, Commissioner Chair Bossler.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for that. Anyone like to make a motion to approve this request? Thank you so much, Commissioner Kim.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the request.
Thank you for that. Do we have a second? Commissioner Smith?
And a second from me. Thank you.
Thank you for that. We now have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, we'll go ahead and take the vote. Again, I will call your name, and if you'll please respond out loud with yay, nay, or abstain. Commissioner Rebecca Smith?
Yay.
Commissioner Blevins?
Yay.
Commissioner Robinson?
Yay.
Commissioner DeZenzo?
Yay.
Commissioner Tyler Hughes?
Yay.
Commissioner Nuana?
Yay.
Commissioner Abe Hughes? Commissioner Kim?
Yay.
Commissioner Martin?
Yay.
Commissioner Moctezuma? Commissioner Opsted?
Yay.
Commissioner Philpott?
Yay.
Commissioner Polito?
Yay.
And my vote is a yay as well. Moving right along here to the third action item. Commissioner Opsted, back to you.
Thank you, Chair Bossler. So our final action item is for our October meeting, and it's the artist selection panelists for the Southwest Park Public Art Project. The Public Art Committee recommends the following panelists for the Southwest Park Public Art Project: Dr. Melinda Guillen for the seat of the Public Art Committee member with Wayne Holton as alternate, and Andrea Torreblanca for the seat of the Visual Art Design Professional with recommended alternates in no particular order to serve as 2 of the 5 ad hoc artist selection panelists. And finally, Chuck, for the 3rd time, I'm going to ask you to provide an overview for the project recommendations.
Thanks again, Commissioner Opstad. And so last but not least, the Southwest Neighborhood Park Project comprises a new neighborhood park to be constructed east of the Interstate 5, bounded by 25th Street, 27th Street, and Grove Avenue in the Otay Mesa West and Nestor neighborhood in South San Diego. The project provides for a brand new 11.5 acre developed park that will include public art. Once again, all the details are similar to the previous item with respect to the artist contract and selection process. Next slide, please. So the item today is to recommend the following panelists: Dr. Melinda Guillen from the Public Art Committee with Wayne Holton as an alternate, and Andrea Torreblanca for the seat of the Visual Art Design Professional with recommended alternates in no particular order. Andrea Torreblanca is a curator and writer based in Ensenada, BC, Mexico, and is currently the Director of Curatorial Projects at Insight, where she founded Insight Journal, and for which she developed Commonplaces, a curatorial platform being initiated simultaneously in different regions around the world, including the Baja California border region. Back to you, Chair Bossler.
Okay, thank you so much. Would anyone like to make a motion to approve the artist selection panelists for Southwest Park Public Art Project? Would please type speak. Commissioner Smith?
So moved.
Commissioner Robinson?
I second that motion.
Okay, wonderful. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion before we vote? Okay, seeing none. Commissioner Smith?
Yay.
Commissioner Blevins?
Yay.
Commissioner Robinson?
Yay.
Commissioner DeZenzo?
Yay.
Commissioner Tyler Hughes?
Yay.
Commissioner Nawana?
Yay.
Commissioner Kim?
Yay.
Commissioner Martin?
Yay.
Commissioner Moctezuma? Commissioner Opstead?
Yay.
Commissioner Philpott?
Yay.
Thank you. And Commissioner Polito?
Yay.
And my vote is a yay as well. Thank you so much. That was nice to be able to accomplish so much in a meeting here today. It's great work being done. We're now going to move on to the Advocacy and Outreach Committee, and I'm hoping that Commissioner Tyler Hughes would like to update us.
Thank you, Chair. I think Commissioner Opstead had another comment, though.
Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Opstead.
Thank you very much. I just wanted to point out for everybody that our next meeting is tentatively scheduled for Friday, November 4th at 9:30 a.m., just to get that out there.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Commissioner Tyler Hughes with an update on advocacy and outreach.
Excellent. Thank you, Chair. Just a top of the discussion, I believe our next meeting is tentatively scheduled also for November 4 in the noon hour, but I just need to confirm with staff because we've been dormant for a little bit. So latest updates are that, as Christina mentioned at the beginning when with non-agenda public comment, happy to report that the City Council has replied that they are putting 8 of them put arts and culture as priorities for the next fiscal year budget. And the one that did not put us as a priority is not a surprise and will be rotating off with this latest election. And the candidates who are going to replace that seat both sound very supportive of arts and culture. So that's really good. The other thing to note is that this is very early in the season. We normally start our meetings with city council members to advocate for funding after the new year. But because of changes within City Hall, it looks like we're going to be starting far earlier. So we're going to start the outreach in November, where we're going to be sitting down with city council members and their staffs to talk about funding going forward. And Penny for the Arts is definitely going to be one of the main items with which we're discussing. We want to push for higher amounts to the commission, based in part on how well the TOT is doing. We're seeing TOT numbers that look to be, and I don't know this off the top of my head, but look to be close to where we were pre-pandemic. So those levels are really exciting to see. And we want to make sure that arts and culture are getting their fair share of the pot. It is actually, with that in mind, I wanted to check in with Jonathan. Jonathan, I know we have a lot of priorities that are going to be needing funding in the future. And we are going to, including the two newest funding pools, the individual program and the impact program. And I wanted to ask, from a staff perspective, that's what it is. From a staffing perspective, do we have enough bodies to be able to execute on all of the priorities that have been given to us, including the individual funding and the impact funding, as well as funding to OSP, funding to CCSD, to be able to properly activate our parks and do such amazing work like Park Social and Here Comes the Neighborhood, to be able to put on the kind of clinics we've put on in the past, et cetera, et cetera. I just wonder, and what kind of staffing would be needed from us, from the commission, for the cultural plan. So I'm wondering, as we're advocating, should we be building in the kind of bodies that will be needed, and what would those numbers look like to be able to properly staff up?
Yeah, thank you, Commissioner Hughes, for the question. So just to give you a quick context, we are in the early phase of budget development for FY24. In part, the reason why the budget memos were requested by of council members is because we have a new chief operating officer beginning on November 1st. Eric Dargan is his name. He's coming from the city of Houston. So that will give him 6 extra weeks to ramp up his knowledge of the overall budgeting process. Regarding your staffing question specifically, longtime commissioners are aware of the fact that the city has struggled with staff capacity for a number of years, extending well before COVID. It obviously got much more acute during COVID. And we are having the same troubles as every other public or private agency in hiring staff right now. For the current fiscal year, there were, I don't have the exact number off the top of my head, but the city was able to hire into a number of departments to start to backfill. We did not, we were not successful in hires this year. So to date, we've lost, due to COVID, we lost 2 positions, specifically 3 since I've been here. So that means that we are challenged with keeping things, keeping the level of productivity that we've committed to with this reduced staff. I just want to be clear that is not something that is intentional on the part of leadership in regards to staffing the Commission for Arts and Culture. Or internally, we refer to the staff as the Arts and Culture team. It is simply that the city does have many personnel needs across all departments. With that said, no, it will be very difficult for us to actually continue to deliver services without additional staff. We were very successful and delighted when City Council unanimously approved reductions to Council Policy 100-03, which reduced barriers, access barriers for the field to the funding program. Unfortunately, because of staff shortages in the culture team, but also in sister departments that we work with to process the contracts, we are behind in processing FY23 contracts. We do anticipate bringing on a new staff person in December. That would be 2 staff people in the funding program. An area that we have not been able to move forward in, however, is writing the protocols for the individual artist category, the impact category, and that is just because of staff shortages. So the good news, we have those 2 categories in place. Unfortunately, we will not be able to move forward with those 2 categories this coming fiscal year just because of time constraints on the part of staff.
If I can ask just a corollary question. So that's really helpful to know. And I had heard through the grapevine from others out in the community, leaders of smaller organizations, that they've just been the timing of payment has been really difficult for OSP. Is there, I guess, so I know the procedure is that contracts are sent back. Our team does the double check on all of those, make sure that everything is in alignment, and then it goes to purchasing. Is purchasing one of the areas that has also been impacted? And if that is the case, then is there a better way we can skin that cat? Is there any way we can get funds out faster that don't have to go through purchasing? Because as 100-3 changes happened, these are no longer purchasing agreements. These are actually just grants. So is there a way we can speed that along through a different system?
Thank you for the question. I never want to call out another department. All departments have staff deficiencies right now. Excuse me. Purchasing department has had staff transitions, as has our team. With that said, because there are multiple departments that review any city contract, that is part of the delay. You're spot there. And I can promise you that operations leadership is aware of the concerns. They're sensitive to the concerns, and they are trying to identify other ways that we can process this these more expeditiously. One of the ways moving forward is the fact that we do have new software that we'll be installing over this fiscal year. This new software should reduce internal reviews by a couple weeks' time. So there are incremental checks or steps that we're taking to reduce the time. But candidly, the system is the system.
Understood. Well, I appreciate that. And I would never want to call out purchasing or any other department. I know that everyone is doing yeoman's work in the way that the city has been able to keep funding going during COVID and with all of the other considerations, it's not just remarkable. I mean, it's superhuman. But we do want to make sure that all those smaller organizations that we've attracted in now to get funding, that we live up to the promises. And so whatever we as commissioners can do to advocate for bodies to help make this work, I think that's on us. So I'm gonna charge you, Jonathan, if you can get me as chair of advocacy and as the advocacy team, if you can report to us, how many bodies do you need to make this all happen, to really meet the unfunded mandates, or at least the unbodied mandates that have been given to us by City Council? How many bodies do you need? And what would that cost be? You know, salary, benefits, et cetera, et cetera. You know, everybody's got to have a pen and a pencil, I guess, too. So, you know, whatever it's going to take from city budget to make that happen, that is not necessarily the budget that goes into OSP, CCSD, et cetera, et cetera. I think that would be very helpful, because we want to talk real numbers so we can see the impact that has been requested of us.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I'm happy to deliver that. I can do so at our. Well, I can do that within the next few weeks. Not a problem at all. Do so.
Cool. I appreciate that. And I saw several requests to speak in the chat. So, Madam Chair, I'll leave it to you on who you'd like to call.
Okay, great. And if there's a way for this conversation to continue at the executive committee, and maybe that can be brought back there, I think that might be helpful as well. Commissioner Philpott, did you have some comment that you wanted to make?
Yes. Oh my goodness. Yes. Thank you. I have a lot to say. Thank you, Tyler. That was really important. That was really interesting, important information, and information to be shared with the entire committee. So yes, I do think that this, you know, maybe we need to have a agenda item. I know there's another place in the agenda today to discuss upcoming meetings, but specifically to talk about ways that the entire commission and commissioners can advocate on behalf of the commission and the arts in San Diego. So that's the first thing. So thank you very much. That was really important. And second, I just want to confirm, because I'm a little bit confused. So am I on this committee, and have you been meeting, and did I miss a committee meeting? And then you mentioned one's coming up a week from today, next Friday, and I haven't received any information on that either. So again, as I said, I'm really enthusiastic and excited to help work on this committee and to help provide this information to the commissioners so that we can help advocate, you know, with our contacts and with our council. Oh, and that was the other question. Have you already set up meetings with the council members? Have you already had meetings with the council members? And so then is the advocacy plan, is that something that the staff presents, or does the committee help? So that's a whole lot of questions. They probably don't all need to be answered right now, but those are my comments. Thank you.
Commissioner Philpott, those are all excellent questions, and I can actually take them in quick order. You haven't missed anything. I believe you are on the committee. The reason is that normally we actually sit dormant from the last, what I cheekily call the begathon, where we go before every city council member and make the case until the next year's start of the begathon. The begathon got moved early this year, and so that has been the issue, where we are no longer on our normal timeline. So things have just gotten a little cattywampus. Also, we've had, with staff transition, our staff point person no longer is there. So this is one of those impacts that we're seeing by everyone wearing about 16 different hats from the staff level. The next week meeting has not been noticed yet. I'm going on the fact that we had always said we're going to try to do the first Friday of the month for that. And that's been the standard, but that can certainly change. And we can talk offline, members of the committee, as well as with Jonathan and Bell, to try to find a time that works for everybody. I just want to make sure that we do get enough folks for for holding the meeting, because that's been another thing, was we just sometimes run out of quorum. And then finally, no, meetings have not been scheduled for city council members yet. Bell takes the lead on that to reach out to all of city council members' staff to find times. And what we try to do is bring in, I'm in those meetings, Ann is in those meetings, as well as a member of staff, usually Jonathan. And then we also try to bring in other members of the advocacy team, as well as whoever's district is being talked about or talked to. We try to bring in the commissioner from that particular district. So everything is still moving forward. It's you have not missed out on anything. And I look forward to having further discussions about the advocacy plan and really our messaging this year, because in light of what Jonathan was saying, I think that pushing forward for more funding, enough funding that we can actually have the bodies to make happen what we all want to see, especially with the cultural plan coming up. I would love to see a full forced cultural plan, something that is really nuanced and amazing. But if we don't have the staff to bring it to fruition, well, then it's just a pretty piece of paper that gets put on a shelf and we just continue doing the same thing. And that doesn't move anybody forward. So I'm excited to be able to advocate on behalf of real change and real equity in the city. And I'm excited to have your voice as part of that team.
Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you. Yeah, and thank you, Tyler. I appreciate that.
Okay, Commissioner DeZenzo.
I think Commissioner DeZenzo left, Madam Chair.
Okay, we lost Commissioner DeZenzo. And Commissioner Blevins typed great advocacy. Thank you for that. Okay, let's keep moving.
I'm here. Oh, I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had to switch to my phone because I'm traveling now. I have a couple of questions that are kind of related to what you guys were just discussing, and probably more for staff. But I'm just going to ask the questions in order, and then I can mute myself so you don't hear the car. So number one, can we hire contractors to help with specific tasks? So if we need just a 3-month support of something, can we do that? Can the staff do that? Secondly, are commissioners allowed to assist with staff type roles? I know we all have a bunch of skill sets that could be helpful, and I'm not sure if that blurs the lines between commission and staff, or if there's if we are allowed to help with those kinds of things. And thirdly, what are I know that the advocacy and outreach says advocacy and outreach, but it only seems like the only advocacy and outreach we ever do are to our electeds. And I'm just wondering, is there other tasks that the advocacy and outreach committee is tasked with doing that doesn't necessarily involve our electeds? So maybe you guys can take those all at the same, whoever can take them. Thanks.
Thank you for that. Commissioner Hughes, did you want to address those items?
I can address the final part of the question, and I can refer back to staff on the question about contracts and or use of volunteers. The advocacy and outreach has really been mostly just advocacy to our electeds, as well as coordinating with our friends at Arts and Culture San Diego, as well as the San Diego Regional Arts and Culture Coalition for broad action, rather than sort of larger grassroots discussions, in part because, and this is solely self-serving in that advocacy tends to take the form of the chair. And I am very much a inside the building kind of guy who likes to sit down one-on-one with elected officials and or their staff and make a case for something on a data-driven level. And that's been really where we've seen success, but that is, again, nuanced to who I am as the chair of this committee. But what you bring up is actually an excellent point, and that we have a larger charge to reach out to the wider community. And it's something Fritz and I have been discussing because his commissioner engagement committee and outreach really do overlap in so many ways, where coordinating with our arts partners and the larger arts community is something that we should be doing each as commissioners, talking to our constituency, both in the arts community and just the larger community of San Diego. So that's a very good point, Tracy, and one that I think we should really bring forward in the advocacy committee meetings instead of just focusing solely on where we are with relationship to our elected officials and putting TOT dollars to work. I'll leave that there. And I'll refer the other questions about staffing to Jonathan.
Sure, happy to. I believe the question was from Commissioner DeCenzo. So regarding contracts, yes, we actually have a number of contractors that we work with on an annual basis, most specifically around the Civic Art Collection, outside technical assistance, and occasionally project management. However, there are in reality guidelines of what firstly the funding source, secondly guidelines will procurement guidelines are there to ensure that we are not outsourcing what city employees can and should be doing, in particular union staff, unionized staff. So it is possible we do it, but there are definitely hoops to go through. The other thing to keep in mind just quickly is access to city systems is limited for contractors as well as volunteers. So as much as we appreciate any commissioner offering to help with the task of processing grant contracts, for example, because of the limitations and security issues around city systems, that's not possible. So that's why we can't engage more volunteers. When it is about programming in public space, that kind of thing, yes, it is possible to engage commissioners in volunteer activities. I'll pause there.
And I believe Commissioner Philpott had a question. There may have been another.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, thank you, Tyler. I agreed with everything you said 100%. And I'm looking forward to having that conversation maybe next Friday. That would be fabulous. I agree. And thanks, Tracy, for the questions as well, because I think that's important, not really related. I'm sort of shoving this into this conversation, but I found out through my talking just generally about commissioner engagement and advocacy through my appointing council member, Marnie Von Wilpert's Instagram, about the online the seminar they were having for folks that wanted to apply for funding. And in fact, I sent a message to the commission asking for the email link or the Zoom link that day, and I didn't get it, but I did get it from Councilmember Von Wilpert's office. And I suggested to her too, if we truly are all about, as commissioners being ambassadors and going out in the community and trying to let people know about what's happening and what's going on, we need to be informed and we need to know what's happening. So thank you so much for all of that. And I look forward to the ongoing conversation.
Thank you for that. Commissioner Blevins, did you have a comment?
Yeah, I just wanted to add to it that some of you guys are out there doing that. A lot of the improvement that is in specifically the Encanto Park is directly resulted to advocacy that the commissioners have been doing, and getting the city to do, some difficult. It took the advocacy of the community coming to the commissioners advocating to get this park, to start the beautification of it. And it's, not perfect, there's still a lot of work that needs to be done, but advocacy works.
100%, 100%, thank you. And thank you, Commissioner Philpott. Just one final note, Chair, and for the team, I had the occasion to meet with the new general manager for KPBS, Deanna McKay, and toured their newly renovated facility. And it's inspiring. KPBS on the SDSU campus has been a mainstay of San Diego's community for a long time. And is, even though we're a smaller media market, 27th in TV and 17th in radio, we have one of the top NPR and PBS stations in the country. And she and I had a brief discussion about how arts and culture, how San Diego's unique and really amazing arts and culture scene could be reflected on KPBS's airwaves, both digital and over the air. And so I'm keeping my fingers crossed that we can bring more to fruition there. But nice to know that we've got a potential partner sitting right there in KPBS. And as KPBS goes, the rest of NPR, the rest of PBS nationally goes. And, we've had live from Lincoln Center for 50 years. Why can't we have live from the Shell? So anyway, with that, Madam Chair, I will hand it back over to you.
Okay, thank you so much. The last committee update, and Christine, maybe you could help with this, is the Commissioner Engagement Ad Hoc Committee that typically is Commissioner Friedman. Is there anything to be reported on that committee?
I can jump in here. No update on that committee.
Okay, with that, Jonathan, we'll turn it over to you for the director's report, please.
Great.
Oh, actually, before we get to that, is there any public comment for this agenda item?
For those members of the public in attendance, please raise your hand now if you'd like to comment. Okay. Christine.
Hi, it's Christine Martinez again from Arts and Culture San Diego. Thank you guys for your shout outs on our advocacy work. And I just want to offer my support as a partner. If there is any organization or any group that you feel that we could reach out to see more about what's going on in some of the underserved communities and some of the communities that we don't hear as much about, I would like to be a part of that and to be a partner for you all. My email, most of you probably have it, is christine@artsandculturesd.org. That's Christine with an H, CHRISTINE @artsandculturesd.org. Feel free to reach out to me. I want to be a partner to you. We're all working towards the same goal. Thanks so much.
Thank you. And Lynn?
Lynn Vasquez again from the New Children's Museum. Two things. One is I really appreciate a better understanding of what's taking so long with our contracting and payment, because even though we're not a small organization, it's really hard. And so thank you for talking about that, so I didn't have to bring it up. And number two was to say, oh yeah, and the gala is on November 5th, because I don't think I gave the date. So get back to us. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful. Belle, is there any more public comment?
No, that's it.
Okay. Executive Director Gluck, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Chair Bosler. I have a number of comments. I'll move through them quickly. And then I'd like to turn it over to Christine Jones to give you a couple programmatic updates. Firstly, I do want to acknowledge and thank the Children's Museum, in particular for being a Blue Star Museum. Probably all know that is a designation by the National Endowment for the Arts that provides access for military families and individuals to designated museums across the country. And they've been really stalwart in this area, so I appreciate that. And it was one of the reasons why that Maria Rosario Jackson, the chairman of the National Endowment for the Arts, chose to make one of her first visits during her tenure to San Diego, was so that she could thank the museum here in San Diego for its ongoing commitment to being a Blue Star Museum. Secondly, I'd like to just let you know that last week I had the good fortune of participating in a site visit from the California Joint Committee on the Arts. They're doing that committee is visiting the majority, if not all, of the existing California state cultural districts throughout the state. They were here in San Diego County to visit Oceanside Cultural District, Balboa Park, and Barrio Logan. I want to give a shout out to the Balboa Park Cultural Partnership for organizing a large and complicated day of site visits, and they did a fantastic job. And very importantly, there was a lot of questions from our elected officials, our statewide elected officials, about the purpose, role, impact, and future of cultural districts here in San Diego to learn best practices and how some of those can be applied across the state. While they were here, they also had the opportunity to learn more about our two locally designated districts, excuse me, Convoy and the Black Arts and Culture District. And we look forward to working with those two districts over the next year, preparing them for application to the state as the California Arts Council opens the application period for consideration for an additional round of cultural districts. So all around, really positive day. I also would like to give a thanks to Commissioner Martin for Catalyst's wonderful partnership in launching our Arts Committee. That's not the official title. The Arts Committee at Catalyst. We had a really great conversation in September with Eddie Torres, the president and CEO of Grantmakers in the Arts. And we look forward to continuing our work with Catalyst and other arts funders in the region. Shortly thereafter, I had the opportunity to attend the Grantmakers in the Arts Conference in New York. That was the first time it was in person in 3 years, so that was fantastic. But most specifically, what I'd like to share is the entire conference was focused on Indigenous communities and how grant makers and public agencies are working more intentionally and authentically with Indigenous communities across the country. And secondly, ways to more thoroughly invest in artists, culture bearers, and creatives in communities. So some wonderful information that came out of that we'll be sharing it to Policy and Funding Committee in the next couple of months. Also wanted to let you know that our arts and economic impact prosperity study, AEP6, is continuing right now. So you may very well see individuals in audiences when you're out and about asking for participation in the survey. Please participate. We have outsourced that to San Diego Regional Arts and Culture Coalition. Here inside the staff, Belle Reza, excuse me, Belle, is gathering the financial information from all participating institutions. So more on that to come, but just wanted to let you know that teams are out and about in the community. Three final things, and I'll turn it over to Christine. A delegation from San Diego and Tijuana will be in Valencia next week to attend the World Design Capital Policy Conference. Councilmember Campillo will be representing Mayor Gloria in the city. Excuse me, and I'll be representing city staff. So we're looking forward to that. And then finally, cultural plan. We do have a consultant identified. We'll be able to announce the consultant through the mayor's office in mid-November. So things are moving along rather expeditiously in that area. And with that, I'd like to turn over Christine Jones for a few more updates.
Good afternoon, commissioners. So do want to give you a few updates as far as programs goes. So I don't think Park Social needs any introduction to you all at this point, but I do want to emphasize that we're getting close to the end of our 6-month run. We do have some artist projects. One actually just started last weekend. So I do want to encourage you to get out there and check it out if you haven't been. So in Council District 5, we have an artist team, Beck Haberstrahl and Katie Gerliton, who are doing a project called Floating Photo Studios. And it basically, they're offering a community photo lab for park goers to fly kites that have pinhole cameras and learn about aerial photography and surveillance at Hilltop Community Park. So that is a park that actually gets windy. I was there last time for a kickoff for their project. So it does get windy, and I have to say it's really fun to fly a kite. So if you do have time this weekend, check it out. It will be on Sunday, October 30th from 11 to 2 p.m. They'll also be running 2 additional days in November. So I'll share the link in the chat so you guys can come. If you can't come this weekend, there'll be 2 additional days to potentially participate in their project. And then, as you know, in addition to that, we still have some running installations, ongoing installations for Park Social in various places across the city. So again, I'll share the link that will list all those installations. So if you haven't checked them out, please do so. They'll be kind of up for just a few more weeks here. And then lastly, please save the date for November 19th. That is actually the last kind of happening project event for Park Social, and it actually will close out with artist Timothy Murdoch's project. Some of you might remember from the launch back in May for Park Social, his kind of dance interactive project, Walking the Wall, was at our launch event. And so he'll be closing out with another iteration of Walking the Wall. And this time it will, include dancers that are kind of moving and building and unbuilding a wall that's choreographed with movement. So come and enjoy that. It'll actually be at the Velodrome in Balboa Park. So if you're not familiar with the Velodrome, it's a really unique venue just adjacent to Morley Field. And again, that will be from 2 to 5 p.m. on November 19th. Again, I'll drop the link so you guys can mark that on your calendars. In addition to Park Social happenings, we do have a couple opportunities, as you hopefully know, are open right now. So I just want to remind you that the Poet Laureate, the second Poet Laureate the city's seeking right now, the application period is open now through November 3rd. So if you know any poets or literary artists, that spoken word artists that you think might be interested in becoming a literary ambassador for the city, please do encourage them to apply. So I will drop that link in as well. And then, as many of you probably are aware, the applications are still open for FY24 Organizational Support Program, which provides general operating support for arts and cultural organizations, and Creative Communities San Diego, which is project-based funding. So those opportunities right now are open. That application window actually closes October 30th, so which is just a few days away. So I'll share that link as well. So if you know any organizations that might be interested in applying, there's still a little window for them to be able to submit an application. And then later today, we're going to be sending out a notification and a call for panelists. So as you all know, this is also the time of the year when we start to cultivate and seek applications from interested artists, cultural practitioners, and arts professionals from all kinds of different disciplines and backgrounds here locally, as well as in Baja and North America in general, to potentially serve as an expert in reviewing and ranking proposals for the Organizational Support and Creative Community San Diego panel process that will happen in March. So this is a great time for you guys to get engaged and help us encourage people to apply to serve as a panelist. So there'll be guidelines and information. I'll share the link. So if you want to start sharing with your networks, we're encouraging people to apply by December 11th. So there's a little time to get the word out. And then another just quick update I wanted to share was yesterday at the California Art Council meeting, they ratified an award of $925,000 for administering organization for Region 1, which includes San Diego County, for the California Art Council's Individual Artist Fellowship Program. So they awarded the award to Orange County, their arts agency for Orange County, which is our peer state local partner. We, along with our other counties in Region 1, which is designated by California Art Council, which includes San Bernardino, Imperial, Riverside, and of course, us in Orange County, we all they led a consortium of us to apply, but they're the lead on the application. But the good news is we're bringing $925,000 for an artist fellowship program for Region 1. That Region 1 fellowship program will open in winter, spring of 2023, and it will be open for artists in kind of 3 different categories that the California Art Council has specified, which include an emerging category, an established category, and legacy category. So funds, so one of our roles as kind of part of this consortium will be really to cultivate and encourage applicants, and specifically artists from San Diego County, to apply. So we'll be focusing on that, and hopefully once we get the word out, once notifications and promotion starts, we'll let you know so you can get the word out as well. And I think that concludes my updates for today.
Christine, thank you. Two quick additional comments to that. It's also going back to the conversation of staffing concerns. There is a challenge across many public agencies, as many of you know, in that because of the large amount of federal and later state funds that have been made available, we were not prepared from a policy nor a staff perspective to manage the amount of funds, one-time funds that have come to a number of agencies. Our homeless services department is struggling with this right now as well. And those funds will dwindle. We have 2 large grants now. One is this that Christine just announced, but we are the chief administrating agency for the 4.75 million CIC funds for California Creative Corps that was not built into our work plan. but obviously we had to go for the money, leading a local team. So that is also a bit of the challenge that we have, is just simply managing these program funds that we did not anticipate when we were building a work plan for this fiscal year. And finally, Chair Bosler, I would like to thank Tyler Hughes for his comment about Live from the Shell. As soon as the meeting is over, I'm going to be tweeting that suggestion.
All
And I'll
right. This is an action-packed meeting today. Okay, so now we're going to be moving on here to new business for future agendas. Any comment for this agenda item? Commissioner Philpott.
Yeah, this is my day, huh? I've mentioned this before, and maybe this isn't an agenda item, because also I think the discussion about the staffing and the plan and the advocacy is a really important agenda item. But I have asked before in the past that we maybe have a discussion about, I know I saw something in the bylaws about when we attend arts and culture functions, and if we do that efficiently as a representative, do we do a report? And I've never received any further information on that, and that's certainly not that high of a priority, but I just want to mention it again. Thank you.
Who would like to take that? Christine, Jonathan?
Oh, I'm happy to take that. Commissioner Philpott, firstly, thank you for any and all of that work that you do. There's never an obligation to do a formal report. However, at the closing of these, if there is information that you specifically want the staff to know, good or bad, either way, just please feel free. Belle and I are always available. And then secondly, if there's information that you would like your colleagues on the commission to know, then at the end of this meeting, there's opportunity for quick updates from the various commissioners. But we don't ask for a formal report. We know your time is precious.
Oh, great. Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Because, when I do attend functions and things like that, and I want them to know, they don't have to do anything special for me because I'm a commissioner, but I want them to know that a commissioner is there and that we're interested and that we're supporting. And I appreciate that, Jonathan. So I think that's a perfect way to handle it. So thank you.
And
it's important to them.
Yes. And Commissioner Philpott, as we start to conclude the meeting and we do the commissioner speed round, that's the perfect time to be able to share just a quick snippet about the various organizations that we as commissioners have had a chance to visit and what they're up to, and to make sure that we're holding up the amazing work that's happening in our community.
Great, thank you.
Commissioner Opstead.
Yeah, I just want to take a moment to touch on something that Christine said, is the application process and the panel advisory that's going to be happening in March. Many years ago, commissioners were part of that process. And then as we looked at different cities that were the similar size, commissioners no longer did that. But I think there's so much validity in understanding the process. And that was actually how I started my pathway to becoming a commissioner, being an advisory panelist for both the CCSD, OSP, and then also the arts education enrichment. I learned so much about our city and that process, and understanding what our creative partners needed to go through in order to receive funding. That might be something that if new commissioners have not participated in the process, if they can maybe not necessarily vote on it, but be able to read and understand the process, I think it'd be hugely valuable to the team.
Okay, sounds terrific. Any other future agenda items? Okay, so let's go ahead and move on to the commissioner speed round. Any commissioners who would like to share anything that they've been up to as it relates to arts and culture let's limit it just to a couple minutes to each person that wants to share. I know there's been a lot going on. Commissioner Philpott, should we start with you?
Yes, like I said, thank you. I know this is my day. I just wanted to say, because Commissioner Dr. Polito is on here, we were so excited to attend. I know a number of other commissioners did too, but the Chicano Park Museum and Cultural Center, and as a person who grew up on 28th and Grape Street, I know you've heard me talk about this. This is very much a part of my growing up in culture, and it's a wonderful, and I appreciate Dr. Polito gave us a personal tour. And that was great because the place was packed and there were lots of people there. So thank you very much. That was a wonderful opportunity. Everyone should go down and visit and see that. And I just wanted to say, to complete, I know we just finished Hispanic Heritage Month on the 15th of October, but I'm super excited to be attending the Dia de los Muertos a celebration at the Rady Shell this coming Friday. And I'm even more super excited to be next Friday to be attending the opera Frida y Diego. It's going to be amazing, and I'm not particularly an opera aficionado, but it just looks amazing. So I will report back more on that at the next meeting.
All right, terrific. Thank you so much, Commissioner Smith.
Also, just a shout out to Dr. Polito. Awesome to bring friends, actually, with my husband and I to the opening of the Chicano Museum, and just the energy in the room was really cool. And then for those of us that get concerned about the Brown Act and how we can talk to each other as commissioners or whatever, what's super cool is to be able to stand next to other commissioners and just be in our community. So I can't encourage you enough. And like I said, Commissioner Opstad and I and our spouses are going to be on the dance floor this Saturday. So, right. So hopefully we can see you there as well. And then just want to again, let everybody know this work, there's so much to it. And anytime you can go to a committee meeting, you can sit in on one of the funding panels. I will also encourage you, reach out to other commissioners. Again, it is not outside of the Brown Act. If you just say to another commissioner, hey, can I take you to coffee? Would love to ask some questions. So really just want to put that out there. And again, thank you, Chair Bosler, for leading us today, as always.
Of course, and your dancing partner, Commissioner Opstad, would like to have a few words here too.
To touch on what Commissioner Smith said, costumes are not required, but they are encouraged. Secondly, Jonathan was not able to make the Los Trompos opening at the new Children's Museum, so I got to be his assistant at the opening, saw Christine Jones there, and I got to tell you, the energy was just amazing, and that park is alive from the second it opens until the moment it closes. And it's every corner of San Diego, and it's just absolutely incredible. And it's my understanding that there are 5, but I believe 3 will be permanently stationed here in San Diego, which is a really just amazing thing to see people encouraging and experiencing the neighborhood.
That's wonderful. Let's see, Commissioner Tyler Hughes.
All right. Thank you, Chair. Just wanted to say I brought my daughter to the Los Tropos park, and it is so much fun, such a wonderful installation. So congratulations there. Just a couple of other shout outs to the Theater Alliance of San Diego. They have been putting together monthly roundtables with theater artists and administrators of all sizes throughout the pandemic. And they just were able to bring Sima Sueco, formerly of Mo'oleo Performing Arts Collective, back to San Diego virtually for a convening that was really fascinating, really high level, interesting stuff about impact that loved being a part of that. And then wanted to thank the team over at Wild Song Productions, one of the very small theaters in San Diego that's newer, for doing some really cool work at their space, including a musical parody of the film It that is quite terrifying and quite funny. So, and I'm with you, Commissioner Philpott, really excited about Frida y Diego. That looks so amazing. So thank you all.
Wonderful, thank you so much. Let's see here, Commissioner Hughes.
I just went,
Commissioner Hughes, we're having a hard time hearing you. I think you froze for a second.
Yeah, he just finished speaking.
Did everyone hear him? Maybe I'm the one freezing.
Right, he just finished speaking. We heard him.
Okay, Commissioner Polito?
Yes, again, just a big thank you for all of all of the commissioners who supported our event, and it was wonderful to be with everybody. I just want to thank your support. I'm so delighted to be part of this commission because I've learned so much, and it's really helped us in our efforts and in our work. A personal invitation to everybody, Friday through Sunday from noon to 6, we're open, but if those days don't work, just send me a quick note. I'd be happy to open up the space for you and share it with you personally. So just again, thank you all very much.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much for that. Commissioner Blevins?
Couple of things. Number one, the Black Arts Culture District committee had its first meeting. It has a board of think about it, 12 people, really impressive board. It was really great to meet and kind of lay down the blueprint for what the next steps are going to be. Secondly, well, actually 3 things. Secondly, I'd like to challenge all of us who, when we're going out into our districts, one of the things that, and it could just be a 4th district kind of thing, we're not seeing a lot of African-American or Latinos working in the actual recreation centers, especially the ones who have art, money to do arts and crafts and cultural things. They're just not being made that culturally relevant at the ones that are doing it. And then there're just not a lot of people that look like the community at the ones that we visited. So we kind of want to do a poll and see what the feedback is from you guys, because if a recreation center has the ability to offer arts and crafts, they definitely need to have somebody who has enough passion and creativity to make sure they're going to be effective and present art in excellence. And then thirdly, there is a monthly jam session for new young artists. So if you know any singers, dancers, poets, whatever they do, there's a jam session over at the Max Moses Art Gallery the last Friday of every month. So if you know any young people who are looking to, increase their skills and, better their chops, get more information, I'll put it in the chat.
That's terrific. Thank you so much for that. Commissioner Robinson?
Yes, I just want to say I've been having a lot of fun at the park socials, meeting the different artists, and I definitely enjoyed just so much information I received from the Chicano Museum. Very excited. Just a great group of people. Everyone was just so welcoming, so giving, so caring, and I also have been just having fun in art in general in San Diego. And I went to the Cat Theater for Chasing Shakespeare, and Jenny Hamilton is still holding it down. It was really great, funny play. So I'm also hanging out in La Jolla Theater. It's been a lot of fun. They are housing a lot of other theaters. So really getting exposed to like Common Ground, having the opportunity to be in their theater, and I'm just having a good time. So I just appreciate all of the art and all of the invitations, and everyone is definitely welcoming and asking for us to continue to attend. So I would definitely say check out Chasing Shakespeare. It's a really fun play.
All right, terrific. Wonderful to hear all the enthusiasm out there. And Belle, any other public comment?
For those members of the public in attendance, please raise your hand now if you'd like to speak. Seeing none, Chair Bosler.
Okay, with that, we will go ahead and conclude this meeting of the Arts Commission for the City of San Diego. I hope everyone has a wonderful weekend. Stay safe out there.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend.
Yeah.